Hello everyone, welcome to Narayana IAS. My name is Akhil Rajaratnam and today's session we will be discussing the GS1 history paper, the GS1 history paper of 2024 mains. Okay, so in this year's paper, 2024 paper, there were 6 questions from history, mainly from art and culture it was there, from world history it was there, from the freedom struggle it was there. So like that 6 questions were asked. So we will be discussing all the 6 questions. Mainly what I will be doing is I will be giving you the approach on how to write the answers, how we can frame the question, how we can frame the introduction, what all things we can include in the body, and how we can conclude an answer. These things I will be mentioning. So what you can do is like based on this approach, you can frame an answer. You can frame an answer and you can post it in the comment box or you can post it in the chat box. We will be evaluating it and we will be giving you the feedback. So this will be the approach of today's session. Okay, so without further delay, let's move on to the first question. Alright, first question. Underline the changes in the field of economy and society from Rigvedic to later Vedic period. This is a 10-marker question only. So you have to answer it in 150 words. So first let's examine what is this. So from where this question has been asked. So basically this has been asked from the ancient history part only. This has been asked from the ancient history part only. In ancient history itself, it is actually mentioning that it is from the Vedic period. So basically, the subtopic will be Vedic civilization. Subtopic will be Vedic civilization. Vedic civilization. And if you see this question, you can see that two types of Vedic civilization. Vedic period has been asked. One is the Rigvedic period, another one is the later Vedic period. UPSC really like this kind of questions. For example, before also they have asked to compare different dynasties. What is actually the administrative system of two different dynasties? What was actually the economy of two different dynasties? All these things they have asked before itself. But here one interesting thing is that is here you can see the transition from Rigvedic to Vedic period. Transition from Rigvedic to Vedic period, that you can see in this question. So that makes it more interesting. Okay, alright. So now we understood from which topic this has been asked. Now let's see what is the core demand of this question. The core demand of the question. So core demand of the question, let's go to the question again. Underline the changes in the field of economy and society. Here they have asked changes. So this is one important keyword, changes. What are the changes in the field of economy? So these are the two dimensions. The changes in the field of economy also we have to discuss here. Changes in the field of society also we have to discuss here. So these are the dimensions. Now we understood that which are the dimensions which we have to discuss. Now we have to go to the period. One is Rigvedic period. One is Rigvedic period and another one is later Vedic period. So we have to underline the changes in economy and changes in society of Rigvedic period as well as later Vedic period. So basically you have to compare and analyze the economy and society of both these periods. So this is the core demand of the question. Now we understood the core demand of the question. Now let's move on to the how you can actually frame this answer. How you can actually frame this answer, which all things can be included in this particular answer. Okay. Alright, so regarding the introduction. Regarding the introduction, what is asked in the question? What is the subtopic of the question? I have already mentioned it, like it is Vedic civilization. So basically, you can start with the Vedic civilization itself. What is Vedic civilization? What is this Vedic period? Again, here itself two period. Again, the subdivision is also given here. One is the Rigvedic period. So what is Rigvedic period? What is later Vedic period? What is Rigvedic period? What is later Vedic period? That you can mention here. Again, while mentioning, if you are including the timeline, it is an advantage. These are small things which can make a difference. Value additions. For example, everyone will be mentioning Vedic period, Rigvedic period and later Vedic period. But if you can include the timeline of this, then it can make a difference. Okay. So that is one point which you can do. Okay. So that's how you will be framing the introduction. Now coming to the body. Coming to the body part, it is already clearly said that you have to underline the changes in the field of economy and society. Okay. So changes in the sense what you can do is like you can make a column. I'm just giving you ideas only how we can actually frame this. You can make a column like here you can bring it like Rigvedic period. Here you can bring it like later Vedic period, and here maybe you can write it like society. What all are the changes which are happening in the society, and after that what all are things were happening in the economy. That way also you can, this is how you can actually frame one answer. Rigvedic period and later Vedic period. Like that you can frame the answer. Or maybe you can write it in paragraph also, no issue. And after that, how you have to conclude is, you have to understand what was actually the changes. For example, during Rigvedic period, the changes mostly they were pastoral societies only. Pastoral society. Later Vedic period, they moved on to agrarian society. Also, the economy, the society became little more rigid in the later Vedic period compared to the Rigvedic period. So, with this, you can actually conclude this answer. Okay, I'll just give you an approach on how you have to do this. See this one here, check what I've done here. So here I have briefly introduced the Vedic period, both Rigvedic period. This is the timeline of the Rigvedic period. This is the timeline of the later Vedic period. You can expand this. You can expand this accordingly. And after that, in the body, economic changes. So what were the economic things which were there in the Rigvedic period? One is they were pastoral society. Another one is mostly the transactions were happening in the barter system. Okay, like that you can expand based on this itself. And also later Vedic economy means you have to underline the changes. So there is actually shift from the pastoral society to agrarian society. From pastoral they are actually shifting to agrarian society. Okay, and also from barter system, what happened, like coins kind of thing is also coming in the Mahajanapadas and all. You can see the coins are also coming. So based on this you can expand. Okay, society, Rigvedic society was more egalitarian. Caste systems were flexible, not rigid. Even though caste was there, it was flexible and not rigid. And also women, status of women were having almost equal rights compared to the men. That was also there. And coming to the later Vedic period, it became more rigid. The society became more rigid. Even the status of women also declined. During this later Vedic period. So all these things you can mention, and in the conclusion, you can conclude it by saying that how the transition from a semi-nomadic to an agrarian society. And also how the society transformed from a flexible society to a more rigid society. Like that way, you can conclude. What you can do is, like, based on this approach, or if you have any other approach, you can frame an answer. And you can post it in the comment box. We will be evaluating it and we will be giving you the feedback. Okay. All right. Moving on to next question. Estimate the contribution of Pallavas of Kanchi for the development of art and literature of South India. Okay. Again, this is also coming from the ancient India only, but still here they have clearly mentioned it. It is art and literature. So maybe we can include it into art and literature. We are not going to discuss anything regarding the administration of Pallavas. We are not going to discuss anything regarding the strategies, military, all the things of Pallava. We are focusing on the art and literature of Pallavas. Okay, art and literature of Pallava. Again, UPSC like this kind of question. For example, earlier also numismatics of Gupta Empire versus like that. Art and culture questions from different popular dynasties were asked in the mains examination. Okay, all right. So what is the demand here? Now we understood that this is from art and culture. So what is the core demand here? Core demand of here, estimate the contribution. So they want us to estimate, they want us to list out what are the contribution which were made from the Pallava dynasty. They have even given like Kanchi, from Pallavas who ruled over the Kanchipuram region, and for the development of art and literature of South India. So they want to focus on the legacy also, how they have actually contributed to the development of art and literature in South India. So this dimension we have to keep in our mind. This time, how it has helped in the further development of art and literature in South India. That you have to keep in mind. Okay, so this is the core demand. Core demand should be based on the legacy of this Pallavas. At the same time, we have to estimate also. We have to list it also. Okay. All right. So that is the core demand. Now let's see how you can actually frame this answer. Okay. So framing the answer in introduction. It is also already mentioned here what we are actually talking about. We are talking regarding the Pallavas only. Pallavas of Kanchi only. They have specifically given. So we can mention this in the introduction itself. What is Pallava? Who are Pallavas? who are Pallavas? What is their timeline? What is the timeline of Pallavas? That we can mention. Who are Pallavas? What is the timeline of Pallavas? And again, the capital is also given, Kanchi. That also we have to mention here itself. So that is basically there. And also we can add, maybe in short, we can add regarding they were great patrons of art and literature. Okay, that we can mention here. In the body, what is the demand of the question? For the development of art and literature, they have specifically given it like art and literature. One is art, other one is literature. If you want to make a table, you can make a table, no issue. But still, if you want to write it in points, I would prefer to write it in points only. Okay, so what you can do here, first let's focus on the art of Pallavas. First, let's focus on the art of Pallavas in the body. So art of Pallavas means which all things can be included. Art, even architecture can also be included in art, but not necessarily architecture of Pallavas. Architecture of Pallavas also can be included in art. Other than that, we can focus on the paintings. Why I am choosing paintings is because many of the Pallava kings are also good painters. So that is why I am including paintings here. Okay, if we are moving to Chola period and all, I might not focus on the paintings. I'll be focusing on sculptures only, but still here I am focusing on the paintings. Okay, so architecture of Pallavas, paintings of Pallavas, and also next dimension is literature. Next dimension is literature. Okay, literature. Kanjipuram. Kanjipuram is the region. So it's in the present day Tamil Nadu. So they helped in development of the Tamil literature. Tamil literature like Alvars, Nayanars, all this literature happened during the period of Pallavas only. Also happened during the period of Pallavas only. That we have to mention. And also regarding Pallavas, unlike other dynasties, they had two different languages. One is Sanskrit. One is Sanskrit, another one is Tamil. One is Sanskrit, another one is Tamil. Okay, so Sanskrit is there, Tamil is there, and also if you want to mention any other cultural contribution of Pallava, that also maybe you can mention in a one or two lines. Okay, this is how we can mention it, and after that, in the conclusion, what you can conclude, how we can conclude is like you can conclude it by saying how it has become a legacy. For example, later Chola period. After Pallavas only Cholas are coming. So how this Pallava architecture, Pallava art, Pallava literature, everything helped in the development of Chola architecture and also other types of literature. So like this way, you can actually conclude this question. Okay, conclude this answer. All right. All right. So like this way, you can conclude this. Um, okay. Alright, so what you can see what I have done here, I briefly introduced the Pallavas of Kanchi. Pallavas of Kanchi, and also the timeline also I have mentioned contribution to art. Contribution to art in that temple architecture is coming. Okay, temple architecture, mostly the evolution of temple architecture, like the Dravidian architecture, we can actually see here. Evolutionally, I am not talking about the Dravidian architecture, but still evolution of Dravidian architecture. Here you can give examples. Okay, how you can make this how we can increase the value addition of this by giving examples. For examples, try to give UNESCO World Heritage Site. It will make a difference because they are very much popular and people will be knowing. If you are mentioning something which is not very much popular, then it won't be giving any, we cannot consider it as a value addition. So Pallava architecture is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, especially the places like Mahabalipuram. Mahabalipuram. Places like Mahabalipuram. So Mahabalipuram, we have different Pancharathas are there, Shore temple is there, all these things you can mention and it will give a it will definitely become a value addition. Okay, and also regarding the sculptures, both Jain sculptures as well as Hindu sculptures you can see in during Pallava period. Famous one is Descent of Ganges. Descent of Ganges. Descent of Ganges in Mahabalipuram. That you can maybe mention it. Regarding the paintings, kings like Mahendra Varman, they were known as Chitragara Puli. Why? Because he himself was a painter. So that also you can mention in this painting region. Contribution to literature, Tamil literature. Alvars and Nainars. Alvars and Nainars. That you can mention here. Alvars and Nainars you can mention here. Sanskrit literature, even Mahendra Varman was a poet also. He has written a poem known as Matta Vilasa Prahasanam. That maybe you can mention here. So all these examples will make sure that you are getting that one extra mark. Okay. Other things based on these points, everyone can write the other things. But if you are giving examples, if you can substantiate what you are writing, then it will make a difference. Okay. So this is how you can conclude this answer. All right, moving on to before moving on to next question, let me introduce you to the NCERT foundation course we are actually having. So this is for the children who have passed the 10th standard. Okay, so along with your inter studies itself, you can start preparing for civil services. This is our course, and we are actually providing the textbook based on NCERTs itself. Okay, so we'll be picking up things which are very relevant from the UPSC point of view for the NCERT, and we are giving the materials also for this. Okay, so for more details you can call this numbers. We have campuses at all these places. You can contact these numbers. Okay, all right. So moving on to next question. What were the events that led to Quit India movement? Point out its results. What were the events that led to Quit India movement? Point out the results. Now let's understand again this kind of questions also many times UPSC has asked. For example, NCM, non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, all this type of freedom movements is a very favorite area for UPSC. Okay, all right. So here, what is the demand of this question? Core demand of this question: you have to list out the events. You have to list out the events that led to the Quit India movement. List out the events that led to the Quit India movement, and also you have to point out its results. You have to list out the events that led to Quit India movement, and you have to point out the results. But don't get confused here. It is not like you have to point out the results of the events. Don't get confused like this. You have to show the result of Quit India movement. That's how the question has been asked here. Okay. All right. So let's see how we can actually frame this answer. So in the introduction, you can give it like, what is Quit India movement? What is Quit India movement? What is Quit India movement? When it was started? 1942. When it was started, and the personality associated with Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi was associated with Quit India movement. Like this way, you can make a very simple introduction. Just a 10-mark question only. You can give a very simple introduction. Okay. In the body, again, they have clearly asked. It's a very simple question only. If you know the events, you can easily answer this question. Okay. So here it is clearly mentioned it like what were the events that led to the Quit India movement. Okay. All right. So body, first separating will be events that led to Quit India movement. Events that led to Quit India movement. I would suggest it's up to you. It's up to you which all events you can choose. There is no criteria like you should choose this events only. But if I am writing the answer, I will start from World War II itself. I will start from World War II itself, 1939. 1939. I will start from World War II, 1939 itself. After that, I will be moving on to the other events like Krebs mission. I will be mentioning Gandhi's decision, that also I will be mentioning. Like that, I will be moving on. After that, it will be the Quit India movement. I will be concluding it with Quit India. I mean, that body I will be concluding with Quit India movement. After that, I will be pointing out the result of the Quit India movement. Not the result of World War, not the result of Krebs mission, but the result of Quit India movement. Okay, result of Quit India movement. Result of Quit India movement. This can be little more generic. Like mass uprisings were there. Mass uprisings were there. Also, you can give examples of mass uprisings For example, community radios where there you can mention the names like Usha Mehta. All these things will give you that extra 1 mark. Okay, and also now what you can do is you can INA also you can bring in here. INA role of Subhash Chandra Bose. This also you can bring in this one. Okay. After that, how I will conclude is like how you know, right? The year is 1947. We got independence in year is 1942. We got independence in 1947. So this is almost close to the attainment of independence. So how this Quit India movement has helped in attaining the freedom? Like that way only I will be concluding this answer. So like this way you can conclude the answer. Okay. All right. So this is how I have mentioned it. So I'll be introducing Quit India movement. I'll be introducing Quit India movement. It has a landmark moment in the India's freedom struggle. I'll be mentioning the names also. I'll be mentioning the year 1942. I'll be mentioning, and also I'll be mentioning Gandhi also here. Okay, Gandhi also here. And again after that, events leading to World War. I'll be starting with World War, and again I'll be going till what all things happened in 1942 itself. After that, result of Quit India movement, masses, involvement of masses. Again, British suppression was also there. All these things I'll be mentioning, and also INA also. This is one thing which if you are mentioning, it can make a difference from other answers. Okay, and after that, conclude by stating how it set stage for the British withdrawal in 1947 and finally to the attainment of independence. So this is how I'll be concluding my answer. Okay, all right. Again, before moving on to next question, let me introduce you to our GS advanced course also. Earlier, I was talking regarding the inter course. Inter means it is for the students of past 10th standard. So now this is for students who are actually going to get admission for their degree colleges. So along with your degree itself, along with your graduation itself, you can prepare for civil services. Okay. Again, we have similar textbooks will be there, but still this will be little more advanced textbooks. Okay. So like that. Again, we have campuses at Hyderabad, Vijayawada, and Nellore. You can contact these numbers to get admission. Okay. All right. Moving on to next question. Though the great Cholas are no more, yet their name is still remembered with great pride because of their highest achievements in the domain of art and architecture. This is a 250 words answer. This is a 250 words answer. So we have to elaborate little, not like the earlier topics. Okay. Now let's understand what is from which topic this is actually coming. So this is from the, even though this is from the Chola period, here they have specifically talked regarding the art and architecture. So we don't have to go with the administration of Cholas. We don't have to go with any military strategy, nothing. We have to focus only on art and architecture of Cholas. Art and architecture of Chola. So now let's see what is the core demand of this question. Core demand of this question are no more yet their name is still remembered. Against like it's still remembered. So it's talking about the legacy of Cholas. Talking about the legacy of Cholas. So while writing the answer, you should keep this in your mind. What is the legacy of Cholas? What is the legacy? How they are still remembered? How they are still remembered? What all contributions they have made, and it is still getting remembered. So that you have to keep in your mind. Again, here also in the domain of art and architecture, they have specifically talked regarding art and architecture only. So this is how we'll identify the core demand of the question. Okay, so now moving on to how we can actually frame the answer. Introduction. Here it is clearly it is saying regarding Cholas only. So we don't have to go find anything else. So we can directly start with Cholas itself. So who Cholas? Who this Cholas were? Who this Cholas were? Where they were ruling, like Tanjavur region. Where this Cholas were reaching? Tanjavur region, Tamil Nadu, and maybe you can show their extent also. They were even popular in the Southeast Asian region also. That also maybe you can mention in there because of their that great pride is mentioned here, and also maybe some slight introduction regarding they were great patrons of art and architecture. That you can mention in the introduction itself. Now coming to the body. Here we can divide it like one is art, another one is architecture. One is art, another one is architecture. But while writing the answer, we have to keep that legacy in the mind. Okay, legacy in the mind. So first regarding, you can choose art also, but I am choosing architecture. Why? Because I believe Chola architecture is much above than art. You can go with a different approach, but this is how I'll be writing. Okay, architecture. So legacy, we are talking about legacy only, right? So what is the legacy of Chola? One is a Dravidian architecture. One is a Dravidian architecture. Dravidian architecture of Chola. This many people will write Dravidian architecture, but if you can give examples, then the value addition will be happening here. For example, UNESCO World Heritage Site. I tried to quote this UNESCO World Heritage Sites itself. For example, the Greater Living Chola temples. Greater Living Chola temples. One is Greater Living Chola temples. One is Brihadeshwara temple in Tanjavur. Brihadeshwara temple in Tanjavur that you can quote. Another one is Airavadeshwara temple in Dharasuram that you can quote. Gangaikonda Cholapuram. At Gangaikonda Cholapuram also Choleshwaran temple is there. So this will be coming under the Great Living Chola temples. If you can quote this, you can get that one extra mark with the examples. Okay. So regarding architecture, focus on how it influence the later architecture like Nayagas and all, how it focused on the later architecture, but no need to explicitly write it here. Maybe you can give it in the conclusion itself. Okay, all right. So next regarding uh, art, regarding the art of Cholas. Okay, regarding the art of Cholas, again in art itself we can take different examples. We can take different examples. One sculptures. Pallavas, I was focusing on the paintings only. Here I will be focusing on the sculptures. Why? Because bronze sculptures in South India. Bronze sculptures in South India became prominent during this Chola period only. So you can give an example. For example, Nadaraja. The Nadaraja. Statue of Nadaraja we can give as an example here. Okay. So like that. Also, if you want to, it's talking regarding legacy only. So I don't know whether you remember the G20 summit which happened in India. So during that summit, there was a sculpture of this Nadaraja that was crafted by the people of Swamimalai. Swamimalai in Tamil Nadu. This Swamimalai became prominent during the period of Cholas only. So that also if you can mention. Again, this is also a value addition. You can get that extra marks using this point. Okay. So like that, this art also we can mention, and also in art maybe you can mention the literary art also. Literary art of Cholas. Again, Cholas were predominantly Tamil only. Predominantly they were Tamil only. So how Tamil architecture became prominent. Sanskrit was also there, but still mostly this Dravidian identity is coming during the Chola period only. So that kind of literary achievements also you can mention it here. So like that, elaborate based on this. How you can elaborate based on this? You can mention the Dravidian features of Dravidian architecture. Features of Dravidian architecture. What is a Vimana? How it influences a Vimana in that Madurai temple and all these things you can mention. Again, sculptures also you can quote the G20 example. Literary tradition also we can quote this. Now Tamil has become a Tamil is a classical language also. So all this legacy you can mention. And also another thing is like art means we can include dance also. Dance, famous dance from Tamil Nadu, it's Bharatanatyam. Famous dance from Tamil Nadu is Bharatanatyam. Okay, Bharatanatyam. Even though Bharatanatyam is a very old dance, Bharatanatyam, significant contribution to Bharatanatyam happened during the period of Cholas only. So that also maybe you can mention here, because all these things are now also we can see all these things. For example, the temples in Tamil Nadu, or maybe if you go to Southeast Asia also, you can see Dravidian temple architecture. Tamil, obviously, Tamil is a very popular language now also. Bharatanatyam, now also it is one of the classical dances. One of the classical dance. All these things you can mention it. Okay. All right. And finally, how we can conclude? You can take the summary of all these points. How this Dravidian architecture, Bharatanatyam, that G20, all this with all these things, you can make a conclusion that Chola legacy is still prevalent. Okay. Like that way, you can conclude. All right. So this is how I've written the answer. I've introduced Chola. I'll be introducing Chola. I'll be mentioning the timeline of this Chola, how they were the dominant dynasty. Here you can mention it like Southeast Asia, or maybe their art and architecture like Tanjavur Brihadeshwara temple. All this mentioning all these things. Maybe you can concisely mention here. In the body, contribution to architecture like Dravidian architecture, and the features of that. Contribution to sculptures, I've already mentioned it. Like cultural contribution, maybe you can say the literature part, regarding dance, regarding paintings, Tanjavur paintings and all. Maybe you can mention in this cultural contribution. Conclusion, how contribution Chola architecture continue to be celebrated. For example, Bharatanatyam. Okay, so like that you can conclude this answer. All right. Next one. How far is it correct to say that First World War was fought essentially for preservation of balance of power? How far is it correct to say that First World War was fought essentially for preservation of balance of power? Okay. All right. So here the topic is from what is asked here, World War. So obviously it will be coming under world history only. It will be coming under world history only. Okay. So what is asked here? World War, and two terms we can take it from here. One is World War, another one is balance of war. Let's see what is the core demand of this question. Core demand of this question. How far it is correct to say that World War was fought essentially to the preservation of stand? They have asked how far is it correct? They have asked how far is it correct? How far means what? You have to take a stand. You can either take a stand that it was not. Maybe you can stand against this, or maybe you can say that it is correct to say that it was fought for preservation of balance of power. But the stand I will be taking is, I will say that it was for balance of power. That I'll be agreeing to that statement, but I'll also be saying that it was not just the balance of power, but other factors were also there. This is a stand I will be taking. You can take a different stand because it is an opinion based question. Okay, so basically the core will be an opinion based question only. It's an opinion based. You can take your stand, but make sure that you are substantiating your stand through the body of the answer. Okay, all right. So let's see how we can make an introduction. All right. So what is asked here? First World War. So let's introduce with First World War itself. First World War itself. You can give the timeline of First World War. 1914 started from 1914. The timeline of the First World War you can give it here, and also you can introduce this concept also. Basically, this concept is from international relations. Balance of power is now also people who are studying international relations, they will be familiar with this concept. But this is a GS paper. Don't go deep into the balance of power and all. Balance of power basically means no country should be dominating. No country should be dominating. That is balance of power, and you have to understand whether you have to substantiate it based on whether you agree that it was for balance of power or it was not for balance of power. Okay, so that so we can introduce what is a balance of power. You can introduce with what is so timeline of World War and what is balance of power. Now you have to take a stand. Now you have to take a stand. It's completely up to you to decide which stand you are actually taking. But if I am taking the stand, I will be giving some points supporting in support of balance of power. In support of balance of power, I will be mentioning topics in support of balance of power. How it was fought, balance of power. Why? Because it was Germany's. Germany wanted to dominate, so countries were forming alliances. So it will be included in this alliances. How alliances were there in this World War. Okay, I'll be mentioning that, and also I'll be mentioning the name of the alliances also. Many people will be mentioning the alliances only, but the name of the alliances won't be mentioned. So if you can mention that, it will be a good point. Okay, so like that. Again, after that, I'll be moving on to other factors also. Okay, if you, it's completely okay if you are not mentioning this also, but this is my stand, so that is why my personal stand, so that is why I'm taking this. Okay, so other contributing factors were also there, like military ambitions, economic ambitions also. You can think it like this: what are the economic dimensions, what are the society dimensions, all these things also you can think in this while writing the answer. Okay, so what are the other dimensions? For example, military struggle was there, and also economic aspect is also there. Basically, we can say it like this was fought as an economic conflict between Germany and Britain. That point also maybe we can bring it. Okay. After that, how I will be concluding it. Balance of power issue was also there, but not just that. Even other contributing factors also there. If you are taking the stand like for balance of power was only the issue, then you can conclude it like that. Okay. All right. So this is my point. So this is how I have written. Okay, briefly introduce the balance of power theory how it was there in European diplomacy. Bring that Germany example, you can bring that, and also the World War also you can mention. Timeline of the World War also you can mention. Support argument supporting balance of power seekers alliances. So how we can get the extra marks? You can mention the name of the alliances. Mention the name of the alliance, triple entity and triple alliance, that you can mention. Which all countries were part of that? That you can mention here. Balkan tensions. What was the Balkan nationalism? What happened in this Balkan region? That you can mention here. And here are the other contributing factors like Serbian nationalism, militarism was also there. These countries were slowly stacking up their weapons. These things we can mention. Imperialism is a very important point. Imperialism, countries' imperial ambitions, that is also very important point. And also economic rivalry between Britain and Germany. That was also a contributing factor. Okay. So after that, I'll be concluding it like it was not just balance of power, but that was not the sole cause. Other factors were also there. Like that way, I'll be concluding it. Okay. All right. Moving on to next question. How far was the Industrial Revolution in England responsible for the decline in handicrafts and cottage industries in India? Answer in 250, again a 250 words answer. 250 words answer. So again here also the question is like how far? How far? So you have to take a stand. You have to take a stand. You can either say it like industrial revolution in England, that was the sole response, or maybe other contributing factors are also there. Or if you say that that was not responsible, that stand also maybe you can say. Okay, so how far was industrial revolution in England responsible for decline of handicrafts and cottage industries in India? Here one interesting thing is there, industrial revolution in England. Okay, this we might have studied in the world history chapter. In the world history chapter. Okay, and decline of handicrafts and cottage industries in India. This we have studied in the freedom struggle area. Okay, in the freedom struggle area. Okay, so basically UPSC has combined both this. UPSC has combined both this, but I would suggest you to stick on to this area. Decline of handicraft. You can take a different stand, but still that's what I would prefer in this. Okay, so what is the core demand here? What is the core demand here? How far was industrial revolution in England responsible, whether it was responsible or not? So core demand is to give an opinion, how far it was responsible. How far it was responsible? Was it the is that the only reason? All these things we have to mention it. Yeah. Okay, so that is a core demand of this question. Now let's see how we can actually frame an answer. So we'll start with industrial revolution itself. We'll start with, in the introduction, we'll start with what industrial revolution was. What industrial revolution in England was. What industrial revolution in England was. Again, here you have to focus on the textile industry. Textile industry. In just introduction, just particularly in the industry, what industrial revolution, and particularly in textile industries. Okay. All right. So in the body, you have to take a stand. In the body, you have to take a stand. Industrial revolution was responsible. That is one stand I will be taking. Industrial revolution, my stand will be like industrial revolution was responsible, plus other contributing factors were also there. This is the stand I will be taking. Okay. All right. So supporting this statement, industrial revolution was responsible. In support of industrial revolution, which all other factors which we can mention here? Mechanization. Mechanization. I'm just giving a few examples only. You have to develop on this. Mechanization. Okay. Mechanization, like invention of steam engine, all these things you can mention here, and also decline of this handicrafts, in and cottage industries in India. These are the 2 points maybe I'll be mentioning, and after that I'll be elaborating on this. Okay. Other thing is like it is not just the only factor, but other contributing factors were also there. Other contributing factors are also there. For example, there was industrialization in England. Why there was not why there wasn't any industrialization in India? That I'll be mentioning. Okay. Why? So that is different from this, right? That is a other contributing factor. At the same time, if India also had industrial revolution, then the picture would have been different, right? So that I'll be mentioning here. Okay, why industrial revolution was not there in India? No industrial revolution in India. No industrial revolution in India. That I'll be mentioning here. And also other taxation policies, British taxation policies, even taxation regarding farming also. That also maybe regarding the cotton and all these things are also coming in the other contributing factors. Okay. And after that, how I'll be concluding this? I'll be concluding in the same way only how I conclude in the other how far question we have discussed. Okay. And that also it was like industrial at that time also I said it like it was not the sole cause of that. So here also I'll be mentioning it like industrial revolution England was responsible, but that was not the sole cause. Okay, like that way I'll be concluding this answer. Okay, let's see a model approach. I'll be introducing the industrial revolution England. What is the timeline of this? What is the timeline of industrial revolution? Here particularly textiles. Okay, particularly textile body. I'll be supporting this statement. Impact of industrialization, mechanization in England, not in India, but in England. British trade policies and also decline of the handicrafts and cottage industries in India. Okay, that I'll be mentioning here, and also absence of industrialization. Absence of industrialization in India. Why India was not industrialized? Again, it was because of Britishers only, but still that is another contributing factor. And also we didn't have any transport and communication which was available for Indians. Mostly this transport, everything was for Britishers only, like the development of railways, all these things are brought for by the Britishers only. Okay, that also I'll be mentioning it here. Okay, and after that again I'll be concluding it like that was not the only cause, but that is also one of the cause. Other factors were also there. This is how I'll be concluding, and how you can bring in some value addition by including the statistics. See the statistics. India's global share in manufacturing dropped from 24.5% in 1757 to just 2%. Okay, just 2%, or maybe you can skip this also and just include that just 2% also. Why? Because you know the 2%, it is just 2% only. From 24%, India has stooped to 2%. Okay, by the mid of 17th century. Like this way, the statistics you can mention, and also maybe in the later period, in which all areas this the cottage industry started to develop, which all areas it was there, and from there it declined. So these kind of factual data will fetch you extra marks, and you can stand out. Okay, you can stand out. All right, so that's it. So in general, what we can do is like for value addition, what we can do is like we can give maps, but only when the maps are valid. For example, Quit India movement, if you had a map, I don't think, personally, I don't feel like that map is validated. What you can do is like you can, for history, in that kind of freedom struggle and all, you can include the names of the personality. Like for a Quit India movement community radio, Usha Mehta, like that name. Organizations like INA you can mention. Like that way you can mention. In industrial revolution and all, in this areas it is mixing up two different subjects, world history as well as freedom struggle. Here you can combine events which happen simultaneously. That is also very important thing. And also sometimes you can use map. For example, in the Vedic in that Vedic period, that question, there you can actually include a map of the Sapta Sindhu region in the near that present day Pakistan region. From there they migrated to the Gangetic Plains. Okay, from there they migrated to the Gangetic Plains. So that kind of that map will actually make a difference. Okay, it's a very relevant thing. So these things can be done. Okay, alright. So I hope you understood, you got an idea regarding how how to frame an answer. So what you can do is like based on this approach, you can frame an answer. You can frame an answer. Sometimes if you have to take another stand also, in that way also you can frame an answer. You can frame an answer and you can post it in the chat box or the comment box of this video. We'll evaluate it, then we'll give you the feedback. Okay. And let me introduce you to our digital platforms also. We have an N Digital app as well as Navigator. Website is also there, mobile application and a website. Okay. So here, if you go to this website, there is a tab known as Current Affairs tab. Current Affairs tabs. Here you will be getting daily mains questions. Daily mains questions will be available here. So to write a better answer, to how you can write a better answer by practicing only, So go to this daily mains question, and obviously we'll be discussing the relevant topics of that particular day, and we'll be making questions also based on that. So go to this daily mains question, and there will be finding the question as well as the approach will be there. So based on that, you can frame an answer like this. The questions will be like this only. Here it is talking regarding election commission. So we have given the introduction, what is there in the body, what is there in the conclusion. Here also we can see it like the question is there, introduction is there, body is there, conclusion is there. This is just an approach only. You have to frame the answer. Okay, you have to frame the answer, and maybe you can send it to us also. We'll be giving you the feedback. Okay, so hope you understood how you have to approach this history paper. So thank you. We'll be having more sessions also regarding polity, regarding environment, geography. Today itself we'll be having more sessions. So stay tuned. Thank you.